Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies. Just after 2 o'clock inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh, thanks to Empire Properties. Q-Grass this weekend, Saturday. Joe and I are going to be out helping out with Q-Grass from noon until about 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Then it's go time.
Then it's go time for hockey. Perhaps you'd like to go to the hockey game, Joe.
I was going to say, maybe you need a ride. Maybe you want to imbibe. Maybe you want to enjoy yourself. Check in. Sleek Fleet, it's sleek-fleet.com. I don't want to make it too big of a production because I actually have like camera responsibilities today.
You do, yes.
But I would pick up my calendar and I would show you that in June, we have the U.S. Open in Pinehurst. So if you want to plan ahead and you don't have a place to stay in Pinehurst, do yourself a favor. Reach out to Tyler at Sleek Fleet. Sleek-fleet.com for all of your transportation needs.
We do have a start time, 5 o'clock.
For one game.
We don't have the second game, though. I can assume it's going to be on Monday. But we will not know until the regular season wraps up tonight in the NHL.
The NHL runs on their own schedule.
They really do.
On their own time. Hey,
they
as
really
Mike
do.
Krzyzewski suggested, they take it to heart. Everyone has to run their own race.
That's fair. That is fair. That is fair. All right, so with the playoffs, what we're going to do is we're going to have a little fun. I'm workshopping here. Hey, I'm workshopping here.
You make it the pizza.
We make it the beard content. So it's the playoffs.
You're feeling froggy about this, eh?
What do you mean froggy about it?
A bottle of Colonel?
Yeah, man. That's how it's going to work. Hashtag OG Beard Gang.
Whoa.
Here's how it's going to work. You don't have to go completely clean shaven. We will allow for you to go down to
do what
1,
you just did,
as I just did, because I'm at the point in my life where I cannot be clean shaven.
You'll get arrested at the airport. Yes.
It's not a great look. It's not a great look. So if you just go down to a 1, and I got that wall electric razor, the plug-in razor, that's how I roll. You're good. You're good. Email a picture or
a little start and finish.
A little start and finish. So email us a picture at theoggoesdigital@gmail.com or tag us on Instagram.
Yes.
At OG Triangle Media.
While you're at it, follow us on Instagram.
By all means. So that's how you can let us know what the deal is as you get started. We are going to give bonus points for those who start with us at the beginning and follow us throughout the entirety of the playoffs. All right. So you're going to get priority when it comes to judging. So let me repeat. If you want in on this, you can email us your starter beard, the trim down to the stubble if you want. That's cool. We'll allow that. Either you can email us at theoggoesdigital@gmail.com. Just put OG Beard Gang in the subject line. Or you can go on Instagram, tag us at OG Triangle Media. I'll screen grab it. That way I have a record of who's doing what and all that kind of stuff. And we'll go from there. We'll do weekly check-ins. We'll put the call out. Hey, tag us again. Shoot us an email. Let's see where your beard's at. Ideally, this goes all the way through June.
And we have, you're saying in our possession right now, we have 2 bottles of the Colonel, and you're going to give away an actual bottle of the Colonel.
Yes.
For someone who wins this reindeer game of yours.
Yes. For the gnarliest beard. Now,
Did I sign off on this?
No, but you do shit all the time without me signing off, so it's all good.
Okay.
Now,
with Colonel, though?
With the Colonel. Now, I was asked a question earlier today on Twitter. Hey, what if you try to grow a beard, but it's patchy as hell? It's not that great. Like it's just not a thing we can really do. And I'm like, you know what? That's a very good point. We will award another bottle of bourbon, not the Colonel, but we will award another bottle of bourbon for the, hey, you tried.
Yeah, E for effort.
It might be Jack Daniels for all I know. It could be.
Nothing wrong with the Jack. Don't give away the Old Taylor.
It could be this handle of Old Taylor that our guy Chris dropped by today.
No. That's good.
So here's the thing.
That stuff's good.
You're worried about, I haven't tried it yet, actually.
No, I'm saying it's sawed off Colonel. It's good.
You're worried about the Colonel, but I'm pretty sure we've got to connect now. So we're good on this.
I understand that, but you know me.
And the exchange rate is stickers, cups, and t-shirts. I mean, I think it's a pretty even exchange.
Chris, Ohio is the land of chili and the Colonel, apparently.
Yes. So I have not had this Old Taylor, which is essentially a lower proof Colonel Taylor. Same mash bill, if I understand. It's only 40%.
You know more of these things than I do.
80 proof, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
But you like it?
No, it's nice.
Okay.
But it's not a rye, you said.
No, it's not a rye.
Okay.
He handed us another rye. From Ken. I guess those of us who cannot grow a beard, what can we do to try to win some E.H. Taylor? Well, Ken, I'm pretty sure you have E.H. Taylor.
It's disqualified.
We can re-gift you an E.H. Taylor.
No,
maybe?
no, Ken, we have something special for you.
We do.
Actually, we do.
We do. We actually do. We actually
Not
do.
bourbon related.
Yeah, and as Bubba pointed out, I looked for that Colonel Taylor at the ABC store and couldn't find it. Yeah, you know,
The old Taylor
no,
or the
no,
actual
the
Colonel?
actual Colonel Taylor.
Okay.
Apparently, it's a terrible way to go about this. Paul, I'm almost feeling like I should kick Paul from the chat. No, give away some Malort. No, absolutely not. We will not give away Malort. Are you familiar with Malort?
I'm not.
Ken,
you're not replaced. I have a special Man City gift package for you, sir.
So we're good. We're good. So Malort is one of these aperitifs, I guess, and it's terrible.
I was gonna say, sounds awful.
It is awful. I had one of the worst hangovers of all time, thanks to my brother's co-best man Hayes when we went to Austin. My stomach was not right for a week after having way too many shots of Malort.
Gross.
From Gene, this is a very good question that I have not really been able to figure out. How do women do this contest? I don't know. I am open to suggestions that we can incorporate another bottle for something that women do.
Gene, I didn't know you were into the brown liquor. We owe you a bottle of brown liquor as it is. So,
I mean, if the whole point is growing out hair, I don't know what it is. I mean, I don't know what you do in that regard. So we are open to suggestions.
Is Malort Chicago's worst export?
Yes, Evan knows it is Chicago's worst export.
How do I not know anything about this?
From just random YouTube user, Malort is against the laws of nature. Yes. Yes. And yes, as M. Davis points out, women do drink bourbon. Yes, they do. I know plenty of women who drink bourbon.
Yes.
But yes, you're right. But here's the thing. Because we're trying to tie it in with the playoffs and the playoff beer and all that stuff, we don't quite know how to incorporate that, you know? So not that women don't have facial hair. I'm just saying we're not asking women to grow facial hair. That's all I'm saying. So we'll see. We are open to suggestions. If you get an idea of how we can incorporate that, by all means, shoot us an email. The OG goes digital at gmail.com, or you can just shoot us a DM through IG or whatnot. I did wonder, as Rob points out, leg hair. I'm like, I thought about that. Armpit hair too. You know, it's getting hot out. Just let it fly. I don't know. We'll see. If one of our listeners of the female persuasion wants to send us, I grew out leg hair for the playoffs, then I will send you a bottle of bourbon. We will connect. On that. Anyway, so the Canes are playing the Islanders starting on Saturday.
I should say again, Canes and the Islanders again, third time in 6 years, second year in a row. Canes see the Islanders in the playoffs, second year in a row in the first round. Here's the thing. Like, I think a lot of people who are Canes fans can tell you a lot about the Bruins.
Yes.
Right? You might even be like annoyed at the Rangers, and you're like,
of course.
Right? Vasilevsky and Braden Point, and you can like roll down the Lightning, right? This is the third time in 6 years they're going to see the Islanders.
They swept them back in what, 19?
Matthew with 1T Barzell is the only one I can ever remember. They got Bo Horvat last year at the deadline. A lot of people were like, "Oh, Bo Horvat's this big prize." Good player. Don't get me wrong. The most famous people associated with the Islanders are their coach, Patrick Waugh, the goalie, arguably the greatest goalie ever to play the game, and their GM, Lou Lamoriello, which leads us to great moments in Joe Giglio and Lou Lamoriello history.
First off, before you continue, I'm proud of you. As you were listing off all the things to know about the Islanders, you omitted one thing.
What is it?
The other Sebastian Aho.
Oh, no. See, I've trained my brain.
Look at you. I'm proud of you for this one. You are not making it a thing for the playoffs.
You sent me the clip and you were like, you didn't even give me the, just don't do it anymore. You just sent me the clip. Like, you should just wear this cone of shame now. No, it wasn't so much of a cone of shame. It was more like, you see Aho's face? That's the face I see when you bring up the real Aho. I just want you to visualize he likes the real Aho.
No, but you know what I mean. Yeah, you know what I mean when it's brought up. All right, do we have story time? I love a Giglio story time back in your hockey days.
No. This is from this year. This is from this year. Yeah.
Oh, I thought there was like an ancient story because Lamoriello's been around for a long time,
and he was the architect of the Devils. Yep, and their Stanley Cup wins in the 90s and early aughts.
Yes, the 0-2, that little up and down and Scott Stevens and all that stuff.
Speaking of outstanding goalies, Martin Brodeur.
There you go.
Right.
There you go.
So Lou is also a little bit of a curmudgeonly type.
I see.
Okay.
I see.
So and Lou would not remember me to save his life. Okay. This is not me telling you, oh my gosh, I texted Lou Lamoriello today. This is, I saw him in the press box. I believe it was November.
Mm-hmm.
And it clicked in my brain that he was now the person who makes the decisions for the Islanders. And I'm looking at him and I said to him, I go, Lou, why are you still fucking doing this, man? You know,
I mean, the same could be said about us,
right? But he looked at me. He looked at me, and before he could answer, I go, "I know why you're still doing it." He goes, "Well," he goes, "Why?" And I go, "Because you want to win it one more time." And he was like, "Yeah." Because I mean, we're talking. It was like a Tuesday in November, or in December. It was like dragging, and the Islanders, you know, they fired their coach. They hired Wah. I mean, they were 19, 15, and 11 under their first coach. 20, 12, and 5 under Wah. So obviously a little bit better, but not only one win better. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it was just one of these slogs. And it's like, Lou, you already have your name on the cup like 3 times, man. But when you have that drug, you have that Bill Belichick narcotic, you just think, I could do it again. I could do it again. I could do it again. And wouldn't it be awesome if you did it with the Islanders? So for people who are unfamiliar with the hockey dynamic in the tri-state area, the Islanders are the NC State of the tri-state area.
Yep.
You know, you have the Rangers can't quite be Duke because they haven't had as much success as Duke, but the Devils and the Rangers are the Duke and Carolina.
Mm.
And then you have the Islanders, who once upon a time were good, and Mike Bossy, right? And they had won the cup 4 years in a row. And ever since then, they've had the Gortman's fisherman uniforms. They had a shyster as their owner who had no money, legitimately had bilked people and
wasn't it Rick DiPietro who ended up having like one of the contracts that broke the CBA for like
a 20-year deal,
some ridiculous deal.
So I mean, like, they've been a hot mess for the most part, but they've had some success recently, obviously with Lou kind of shepherding them, and Barzell is a really good player. You'll notice that on Saturday if you're like completely new to all this or just trying to remember from last year. The thing I remember about the Islanders that I kind of like, they're very gentlemanly. There's no, remember they played the Predators in the first round and every whistle was like this and that, and I was like, what is up with this garbage? Can't we just play?
But also, let's remember the consistency with Nashville. Who was on that team?
Sure,
it was Eric Hollow.
Sure,
and I guess that's the question based on what we see with the bracket. They're not going to see Hollow, right?
I don't think Jersey made the playoffs.
I don't think Jersey made the playoffs, so right?
Well, there's no Hollow then. There's no sign. Our guy made the sign.
That's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. I want to see Hollow one more time because you can guarantee a series victory.
Then
that's what I'm saying. Like that's what I'm bummed out by.
But I think for the most part these series have been clean. I think the Islanders like to play the way that the Hurricanes do. They feel like they have a better goalie in Ilya Sorokin.
Yep,
they probably do. But he has been unable to vex the Hurricanes. Canes won this thing in 6 games last year, and then they swept them in 19. So that was the round 2 lull that you and I love to predict. Right? You have everyone's fired up, everyone's got the blue pill for the first round, and then all of a sudden you get to the second round, you're like,
well, a couple things about
what happened?
I'm glad you brought that up because I had jotted this down in terms of the vibe check for this upcoming playoff series and this upcoming playoff run for the Carolina Hurricanes. You brought up 2019, they swept the Islanders. There was the lull. Makes sense
because it was that Washington series was off the charts.
It was a huge breakthrough, all that stuff, and then they just ran roughshod over that Islanders team. The last time they saw them, though, was one of these. This is taking longer than it should type situations.
We needed a Sebastian Aho goal off his face.
Yes, and you started to see they're peppering the goalie with a lot of shots, but they're not really finishing. What the hell is going on? And that then gave you another series that took it was the Boston series after that, right? That took a little too long to get past the Bruins, even though we kind of understood that
Jersey last year.
It was Jersey last year, my bad. So regardless, my point still stands. It took a little longer than people anticipated for them to get past the Islanders. So that's kind of where I'm at with the litmus test about where the Canes are mentally, where the Canes are at 100%, although we don't know the status of Jesper Fast. I know Walt Ruff over at the Carolina Hurricanes pointed this out from Rod Brind'Amour's press conference today. Upper body injury, was not able to practice today, doubtful for tomorrow. When asked if his injury was a long-term concern, the head coach answered, quote, "I don't know. We'll see." That's pretty typical when it comes to Rod Brindamore and hockey and everything else.
I'll say this, not to diminish Jesper Foss' role, and we've seen him really be really good in the playoffs with Jordan Staal in particular, right?
Was he not, if I could be misremembering, but was he not the leading point getter for the Canes throughout the playoffs last year?
He has a specific role with Jordan Staal on that line, but this is not the equivalent of 2 years ago not having Freddie.
No.
This is not the equivalent of last year not having Svechnikov. This is more of a normal hockey playoff issue, right? An ancillary support player who's out. This is not a main cog that is out.
One other note from Nathaniel: can Giglio do a monthly pod on Jersey sports culture? I just want to hear the stories. It could be anything from true sports legends to stories from Little League, because you do seem to have some connection to somebody that's now at a position in sports.
I don't know if I've ever told the story about playing against Derek Jeter and Pequannock.
Well, you know what? We call that a tease in the business. Ooh. We're going to have to save that one for another day. Housekeeping. Speaking of all this bourbon, we gave you a way that you could win bourbon with the OG Beard Gang. There's another way that you can get some bourbon, and that's through the OG Birthday Bash raffle. We're going to be at Shady's on May 3rd. It's going to be a casual thing, 6-ish until, who knows, we might have playoff hockey on.
It's on the calendar.
Okay, good. I'm glad it's on the calendar. Our guy, OG Scoreboard Jason, he's going to be there doing his trivia with Sporkle, so that'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, there's like a whole collection of bourbon that we are going to be raffling off, along with a Seth Jarvis mixtape that he made. Well, I made and had him sign.
And the sign.
Last year. And yes, the Where's UNC sign.
I mean, Felder's coming on. I don't want to irk him.
We'll get to that in a second. Okay. We'll get to that in a second.
I don't want to show the sign. And
remember, he's a football guy. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about basketball.
Okay.
And he'll confirm that for me in a second.
Okay.
One other note. Next Thursday, we're doing OG Live here, thanks to Sleek Fleet in the studio. But next week, speaking of birthday bashes, it's the Giglio birthday bash at Longleaf.
Yeah, we're doing the show from there, sir.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Thursday.
Shorties don't count on your birthday.
Shorties do not count ever.
So. Head on over to Longleaf Swine. Check them out. longleafswine.com. They got a 420 event. It's called, instead of Longleaf, they're calling it Bongleaf.
Oh.
And they have some pretty interesting menu items. So head on over to their Instagram account to see what their menu is. They've got a cool Bongleaf, like Grateful Dead inspired tie-dye t-shirt that they're selling for a limited run. So some cool menu items that you can check out this weekend. Big thanks to Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority for sponsoring Ovies and Giglio. They've been a corporate champion from the jump, and they've come out to my place already to get the mosquito treatment down. You've got moisture control issues in your crawl space. They can handle that. You want to make sure that you have zero issues on your patio while you're trying to grill. They got misting systems for this kind of stuff now too. So
I have the little termite bases around the perimeter of my house. That's been extremely helpful.
So head on over to bugsbite.com. And speaking of all this hockey, you need tailgate supplies. You need cold beer. You need maybe a crowler. They've got that at Breeze Through. So they got the PNC Arena location.
I promise the hat.
Get your gas station beers right now at the PNC Arena location as you get ready for the playoffs. It'll be a lot of fun. We'll be out there. Who knows? Maybe we'll do a show from
a winner.
Maybe we'll do a show from the Beer Cave soon. Joining us on the Heister Automotive Group hotline is Michael Felder, Bleacher Report Stadium, a UNC guy who does not care about basketball. Do I have that right, Felder?
You've got that 100% correct. I truly I just learned about the "where are you at" thing now. So
whoa! You didn't know about the Maktar Jai Where's Duke thing from back in the day?
I mean, I know about that because I was in school. Like, right. So I had to know.
That's what I thought.
Oh, that's what that's from. Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah, so when Joe went to the Final Four, he decided to have a little fun and do the Where's UNC. Although
I had a Where's Duke one too.
You did. And a lot of people were passing that thing around.
They were enjoying it.
And that's fine. Guess what, man?
That's what it's for.
Play catch up.
Right. got a long way to go.
Speaking of Beer Gang, when's the last time you were clean shaven, Felder?
Oh, boy. I think I did. I shaved a Fu Manchu.
Oh, nice.
For a bachelor party in 2007.
All right.
But no, ever since then, not clean shaven.
Yeah,
not as long, but I mean, I co-hosted the show with you and Raleigh. Like like I've never not had a beard, and I will say this: I don't know what's going on with the current generation, but the idea that they don't have sideburns makes me feel insane.
What do you mean they don't have sideburns?
They don't have sideburns, Joe. They don't have sideburns.
The youths are not into the sideburns.
So what are they doing? Like bowl cuts? Like what?
It's tapered. So they have a beard and then tapered.
Yeah. Okay. Now I know what you're talking about. I never really paid that close of attention to it. Now you're gonna have me look.
Yeah.
You're gonna have me look. I wasn't putting two and two
Felder
together.
is a polymath. He follows all things.
Look, Felder's the same guy who we had a long conversation the last time I saw him, and I hung out with him in person, where he broke down his scouting report for pool parents.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable.
He's got a
stuff.
spreadsheet for that.
So now we want to get into the spreadsheet.
We're getting very close into pool season again.
We are.
We have so many more parents added to the spreadsheet. This is about this summer is going to be wild. Like I have to do as much work for the draft that I have to do for the parents.
Speaking of the scouting report and the spreadsheets and everything else, I know you've got all this when it comes to the college QBs we just saw, and they're getting ready to be drafted this time next week. And I get that there's a news cycle to all these things. Every quarterback's going to have their week. You're also going to have this kind of news cycle when it's very clear the Chicago Bears are going to take Caleb Williams. So how do you create drama beyond that? And there's been a curious thing that has popped up over the last week or two concerning Drake May.
Yes.
And we've gone from around this time last year with Carolina entering the spring game with Heisman hype, number one pick in the draft kind of hype too. Yeah, I don't know, Michael. I might take J.J. McCarthy for my team to be a game manager over somebody like Drake May, who has the potential to be a game changer. So what exactly is going on with the J.J. McCarthy appreciation and the Drake May depreciation?
So I think there's a couple things. One, I'll start with J.J. McCarthy. McCarthy is super talented athletically. I think he probably has a bigger arm than Drake May and has the ability to push the ball down the field. But the other problem I have with J.J. McCarthy and the J.J. McCarthy kind of hype is if he could do all this stuff, why didn't they let him do it? I see you shaking your head. Am I crazy? That's not
You're not crazy, because Michigan got to the national championship and won it ultimately by stifling defense and ball control.
Yes. And so that's not the same thing as what we saw Jaden Daniels do to win the Heisman. It's not the same thing we saw Drake May have to do. For UNC to be any good, he had to be very good.
Mm-hmm.
And so I look at that, and the biggest thing for me is we're looking at a guy that just, with respect to JJ McCarthy, I think he has the ability, and this is going to sound insane, but I think he is. I mean, I looked at the numbers, and I looked at what he can do. If he gets with the right system, he could be somewhere in the world of Randall Cunningham. And I think that's awesome. I think Drake May is living in this Justin Herbert world.
Mm.
And so it's two very different, like disparate type of quarterbacks, right? Like one guy is like very good on the improv, very good on this. And again, Randall Cunningham is very lofty. We had a huge conversation about that yesterday on the Bleacher Report show. But Justin Herbert is like, hey, I will drop back. If I have to run, I can a little bit. And then I also will throw the ball as far as you want. And I think Drake May is in that world. But you look at what Drake May's been able to do, the disparate in terms of he was always QB2. And all of a sudden, people are seeing him tumbling down. I think JJ McCarthy is living in this like Anthony Richardson world. Where it's like, hey, are we going to bet on all this talent? Or are we going to bet on the guy that we've seen do it?
Okay, so that's interesting you bring it up that way, because I have not heard or read JJ McCarthy discussed in those terms. I've read more in terms of he is a guy that can plug and play in a system. And, you know, all the Kyle Shanahans that have proliferated throughout the NFL, he's the type of person you can plug in, run the system, and you can be your Brock Purdy. That sort of thing.
And not ask him to do anything. Not ask him to do anything.
Right. And I don't know why that elevates you to. That's not a first-round quarterback to me.
Right.
You know, the Brock Purdy was selected as the last guy for a reason. Okay.
Yes.
So that's what I'm confused at. Just because you've seen examples of this and just because you have the hubris of a coaching staff that wants a quarterback to do it exactly the way they want to do it, I don't see how that elevates you to a first round selection. Drake May is more along the lines of who you're seeing take over the AFC more than anything else. I mean, he would perfectly fit with where everybody in the AFC is right now. And that confuses me that why wouldn't you want a quarterback like that? I mean, even if the worst thing you can say about him is Josh Allen, hey man, Josh Allen's pretty good, all things considered. You know?
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I like Drake May to me, and there's a couple other things too. Drake May does, like, we do have to give credit to pedigree. And obviously, I'm not going to veer us completely off the path, but the reason Marvin Harrison Jr. is the #1 non-quarterback prospect in this draft is also because of pedigree. He understands how to be in the NFL.
Yeah.
Guess what? Drake May also understands how to be in the NFL. That's a different thing. And so I do think that matters. I think it does matter. And I also think that we're talking about a guy that's 6'4", 230, that's what he is. Like, Drake May's a big kid. Like, he's slim, but he's only slim because he's tall. And so he can make all these plays. And again, let's hang on. Let me do it. Let's see. He ran for 450 yards this year. He ran for 600. He ran for 700 yards last year. Come on. Like, what are we doing? It's not the same.
It's weird that I feel like he's being compared to his first year. Like, we have an expectation of, okay, he was really good his first year as a starter, so he has to go up here.
Yeah.
As if the only way you're allowed to go is to start here and just keep going up, as if you never have this, you know? And I don't get it when it comes to Drake May. I've said it a million times. I think Drake May is going to be like Phillip Rivers. I think he's going to start in the NFL for the next 15 years. Yeah, I think he's going to be a solid, if not all pro type guy who you put him in there, and he's going to do a lot of things, and he's going to win, and you're going to be fine. I look at JJ McCarthy, Mike, and maybe I screwed this one up. The first play of that game against Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my McCarthy timeline. I'll give you my whole McCarthy timeline.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
I watched every play of the ECU game. I actually thought that was his best game of the whole year.
Awesome. Great.
He was really good against ECU. And I was like, oh, okay, this is what he's going to be this year, because I do think he is talented. And then he really didn't do anything. And then they played the Penn State game where they acted like he was a linebacker taking snaps after 3 people just got hurt, which we've seen happen. Maryland beat NC State that way once. And so I'm looking at this going, wait a second, if this guy was any good, you'd at least attempt to pass.
Yep.
Then I get to the playoffs and I'm thinking, all right, maybe Harbaugh has been playing a little sneaky Pete. Maybe he's been hiding them. Maybe he's been sitting on them.
Oh, he's been hiding them.
He comes out in the first play of that game and he throws it to the Wolf Blood. And I'm sitting here going, remember, he threw Wolf Blood, if you don't know, Downs' kid. He throws the ball. He tries to hammer that thing down the sideline, and Downs comes in and picks it off. And I'm going, this is, as you love to point out always, Michael, that's the script. You're on the script. You're throwing a hammer to the sideline that's getting picked. What? Now, I get it. You look at his numbers from that game. He recovered nicely. They have the game-winning drive. I'm really not trying to hold the one throw and decision against him. I came away from that Alabama game, and I said, he's a shorter Ryan Mallett. That's what he feels like to me, McCarthy.
Oh, nice. That's a good. I hadn't even thought about that, because I'm trying. Here's what I'm trying to do: not have Michigan fans bother me. So, like, I think his ceiling, he could be really good in the NFL, which is why I brought up Randall Cunningham.
Mm-hmm.
And the good thing is, most people that watch football today have no idea what Randall Cunningham even was.
No.
Well, you said that. I think of a beautiful deep ball. That's what I think of when you say Randall Cunningham.
Some people just think QB Eagles.
Well, what I think is his ability to move behind the line of scrimmage and then find space. And I just, for full disclosure, if I compare Jaden Daniels to a stretched out Russell Wilson, I can't do that again with this. So I got to find somebody else. And that's where Randall Cunningham comes into play. And I do think Jaden Daniels is a lot more talented and a lot more, I think JJ McCarthy is a lot more gifted than we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the problem from watching him in high school, because this is the dirty part, is I was in Chicago. I lived in Chicago when he was coming out of high school. And so I got to, like, I didn't watch him I didn't go. I'm not driving out there to go watch him. That's insane. But I got to see all of his highlights, and I'm like, this guy can play. And then you get to Michigan, and they just put him in a box. And so the question becomes, is he in this box because he can't do it? Or is he in this box because they don't trust him? And that's a huge question. And the big thing for me, when you look at Drake May and his couple seasons at UNC, and you look at who they didn't have the wide receivers that they had before.
Not last year.
Exactly. Right. So you had his first, 2 years, he had 1,000-yard receiver, 1,000-yard receiver, another 800-yard receiver. He had all these things.
Yeah.
He could get the job done. And now he's like, I got to do a lot of stuff. And I do think the interesting part for me, one, because I like to add Jaden Daniels into this conversation, because Jaden Daniels, I think, is the best quarterback in this draft. I think he's better than Caleb Williams. I think Caleb Williams has a higher ceiling, but I think Jaden Daniels played for an NFL head coach in Herm Edwards, then played for a guy who's notoriously hard on his quarterbacks in Brian Kelly.
Yeah.
And Jaden Daniels is the only quarterback that's played for Brian Kelly that got better in his second year.
Any credence to I caught Mina Kimes saying this, that what happened with Joe Burrow once he got to the NFL, like you look at the LSU squad that he was on, they won a national championship. Like, well, how much of this was you and how much was like the receivers you had, XYZ? And you see what Joe Burrow was able to do or has been able to do in Cincinnati, that the Joe Burrow success has kind of lent itself to what Jaden Daniels has done.
I think absolutely. And we kind of just mentioned that, right? With Drake May. Because he didn't have the receivers that he had in year 3. He didn't have the receivers he had in year 2 or year 1. And so there's a difference. So that is a real thing. Neighbors, Thomas absolutely contributed to Jaden Daniels. But I also am seeing a guy that got better under Brian Kelly, and we don't usually see that. Usually what we see is him yelling at Tommy Reese, Brandon, God, now I can't remember his name. He got all these guys drafted, but they got worse every year.
Okay.
The kid transferred to UCF.
Now that's
you're taxing.
Now I'm at a loss.
I have a Drake May comparison for you.
Okay, what do you got? Because I go Herbert. So what do you got?
No. This one's better. I want you to pick
okay.
a TV show that you watched. Did you watch Dawson's Creek?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Or would you like The Wire? Either one works.
I can do both, man.
Okay.
Listen, get you a guest who can do both.
All right. I like them both. You ready?
Yeah.
So when you watch like the first year of Dawson's Creek,
yeah,
and you see Pacey Witter, the character,
oh,
right?
Yeah.
Josh Jackson is acting like, I'm just going to try to do this the best I can. Then all of a sudden in year 2, what happens is
Brandon Wimbush, by the way, is who I'm talking about.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Now
Deshaun Kaiser, my mind is back on track now.
You're at the quarterbacks. So now in year 2, Josh Jackson isn't acting like the script was written. He's acting like he thinks people want to see Pacey Witter portrayed.
Sure.
Same thing with The Wire. Dominic West in year 1, McNulty, you're like, okay, you're just acting as the parts written. Now all of a sudden in season 2, you're on the docks and you're like, well, this is what McNulty would do on a boat. And it's like, no. And that's what Drake May did in year 2. In year 1, he just played. Didn't care.
Yes.
Made a shit ton of plays, by the way.
Ton of them.
In year
I didn't know I was allowed to cuss.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you are.
Then in year 2, it became, well, this is how Drake May's supposed to play.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm in a Heisman conversation. Maybe I'm in a conversation for the first pick overall. So do I have to run more? Do I have to run less? Do I have to do more from the pocket? And now it's paralysis by analysis, right? So to me, I never really saw Drake get back to year 1 Drake. I want season 1 Pacey Witter. I want season 1 Dominic West, McNulty. That's what I want to see out of Drake May when he gets to the NFL. Be year 1 Pacey chasing the teacher. Don't worry about Joey. Go hammer the teacher.
Okay. Wow. There's a lot to unpack there.
There is.
And here's what I'm gonna say. I really like year 2 Drake May, because I thought that he was focused and he played within the structure of the offense. That's the reason why I'm not super high on Caleb Williams. Caleb plays so much out of phase Drake May plays in phase. Now the question with Drake May, and we saw it with, obviously it was a Longo thing, it was a Sam Howell thing, but so many of those throws are outside of the numbers,
Mm-hmm.
and those throws, those are incompletions in the NFL. Those are incompletions. So that becomes a question and a problem unless you are Patrick Mahomes. Do I think he's Patrick Mahomes? I don't think so. And so now you have to question, you have to answer the question of, what are we going to do? And I think this is it's the reason I have a question about Caleb Williams. It's the reason I really like Michael Penix. It's the reason I really like even Bo Nix. From 17 to 11 yards inside the numbers are those throws you can make. And that's not Caleb Williams' game. That's not Drake May's game. But at the same time, hey, man, and again, this is where Randall Cunningham comes up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very good at just, hey, man, I'll get out here and I'll sling it. And so you have to figure that out. And I guess maybe that's, you know what? I guess I just talked myself into something. Maybe that's where JJ McCarthy is bubbling up.
This is why I love my podcasts. You know, we're just spitballing here, drinking bourbon, high lives. You know, it is what it is.
Shorties don't count.
Oh, you know what? Here we go. Let's do it.
Now we're talking, Felder. Now we're talking.
But maybe this is why JJ McCarthy bubbles up, because all they ever asked him to do was throw the ball mostly between the numbers and not over 17. And maybe that's why he's bubbling up. Maybe. Do I think he's better than Drake May? Absolutely not. Not at all. I think it goes Jaden Daniels, Caleb, Drake, Penix. I think those guys, those are my top four. And I don't care what order you put them in, but those are my top four quarterbacks. And then we get into a discussion about Bo Nix and about JJ McCarthy. And I mean, obviously we get to what's the kid from Tulane, Michael Pratt, and we can talk about all this stuff. Devin Leary from NC State, I think, is going to be very interesting when he ends up getting picked. But I do think that those are our top four, and we have to figure out how it works, because Caleb has, like, everyone's flawed. They're all flawed.
We got fireworks. Why?
How did I do that?
Someone's going to take Sam Hartman just to hold the clipboard and sell calendars, right?
Yeah, no, with a beard on the sideline.
I mean,
come
gosh.
On, dude, are you kidding me?
What's the move?
This guy, he's going to show. Listen, I lived
Felder. Go.
I lived next door to Riley Skinner's girlfriend in Charlotte.
Okay. I know where he's going with this, but yes.
And Sam Hartman has that same type of, like, gorgeousness. Like, there's nothing you can do about it. Like, he just looks good. Like, I lived there with my girlfriend, and she looked at every time that Riley Skinner pulled up. She was like, wow, he is hot. And I was like, yo, I'm here.
That ain't me, babe.
Hey, look, man, I had a similar experience. It was Canes we'll get out of here on this. It's all very relatable. It's all very relatable. Carolina Hurricanes in the bubble during the playoffs.
Yeah.
I remember Bally Sports, they were still carrying the games.
Yeah.
They showed Rod Brindamore, age 50, throwing frisbee. Okay.
Oh, wow.
He was shirtless and he was catching frisbees. It's like glistening and silence in the room with the women who were watching hockey, including Kelly. And I was like, and I'm watching television and I'm looking over and I see three people just kind of like, yep. And I go, you know what? I can't say shit.
Yeah.
I mean, dudes, he's a physical specimen at age 50. What am I going to say?
Even with the nose.
I think that's actually part of it.
Enhancing.
It's enhancing. It's actually enhancing.
Dude, listen, I can't look. I know we got to go, but the reality for me is we just had my daughter's 6th birthday party.
Oh, jeez.
Masters weekend.
Hits us all.
Did you have little pimento cheese sandwiches to go with the party?
No, we had pizza.
Okay. That sounds like a 6-year-old party, man.
60 people. 60 people at my house.
Come on, dude. Just go to the bouncy house joint, invite their best friends, and they
Get
call
those-
it.
House house in the backyard.
Oh, all right. Oh, okay, that works. That
60 people. And I was just like, I do feel like I'm the best dad here.
Well, you have it in the spreadsheet to prove it.
On
so.
that note, all right, Felder, we'll talk to you later, man. Thanks for the time. Ladies and gentlemen, we have playoff hockey this weekend, and DraftKings has a very cool offer for you. This week, all North Carolina customers who place a pregame moneyline bet on Carolina, and if they lead by at least 2 goals at any point during the game, you win, even if they end up losing that game. So here's what you do. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use that promo code OG24. New customers bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's code OG24 on DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 877-718-5543 or visit morethanagame.nc.gov. 21 plus, North Carolina only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. 1 early win per opted-in customer. Max bet limits apply. Token expires at the start of the game. See dkng.co/ice for wagering eligibility and terms.
Speaking of hockey, I have a play for you.
What do you got, Joe?
These end of regular season games, the ones that certainly have no impact on the playoff seeding, they've been goal fests.
Okay.
So the last 2 nights, I've taken the over in every single NHL game. I want you to take the over in all 6 games today. You could even put them together and parlay them, which is what I did yesterday.
All right. I'm with it. I'm not happy with playoff Jimmy, man. Not happy with playoff Jimmy.
19 points.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
You talked me into a Jimmy prop yesterday.
I
by the
did.
way.
I mean, he had the NCL. It wasn't the same, although the Heat still had a chance to win at the end of the game.
They did.
And of course,
There was a twin involved.
Yeah, it was not great. Anyway, use that promo code OG24. Big thanks to Butcher's Market for sponsoring Ovies and Giglio. Maybe you're going to tailgate for this weekend hockey game. You want the good stuff on the grill. Butcher's Market can provide that for you. So check them out, thebutchersmarkets.com. Again, that's thebutchersmarkets.com. And if you got the cooler, I know you got the fancy Yetis and stuff like that. If you're at the Lake Boone Shopping Center and you buy the meats from the Butcher's Market, go get yourself some ice cream too from Two Roosters. Go to tworoosters.com. I know on Sunday, they've got a cool NIL event that's taking place with NC State, and Tuffy Tracks is going to be back on the menu, boys. So here's what you need to do and what you need to know. So it's going to be called From Walk-Ons to Walk-Ins with Pac-Men's basketball featuring Jordan Snell and KJ Keats. Again, that's going to be from Sunday, 3 to 5 o'clock. Tuffy Tracks will be on the menu. And of course, big thanks to Hometown Realty. Check them out online at myhtr.com. Again, that's myhtr.com. Don't settle for a guaranteed offer. Get what your house is actually worth. And you can do that at Hometown Realty. From the draft to and free agency and all that stuff, from professional sports to actual free agency and college basketball. Brendan Marks, the Athletic, joining us now on the Heister Automotive Group hotline. D1 Council has made it legal to just do what you want. Are you in academic good standing? By all means, go do your transfer. It shouldn't be that hard, but I know people will be doing the hand-wringing about this just means free agency. And we've been kind of dealing with that for a while, right, Brendan?
We have been. I mean, I'm just kind of waiting for the NCAA to start sending out like school-affiliated checkbooks to everybody. Just make it easier on these coaches. Let them just, let's not even hide anything. But no, the thing that I'm more interested in as it relates to that is, so we've let the genie out of the bottle completely.
Yeah.
The next couple of years, when it gets to the point that college athletes are inevitably employees, will we see multi-year deals? That's the thing I'm more interested in. Can you fit the shit back in the bottle? I don't know if you can, but I would imagine some people are going to try.
Yeah, no, I think there's going to be an attempt to put it back in the bottle, but I do think there's a way around this, and that comes in the form of some sort of contract. But of course, that makes it so that they're actually employees, which of course we understand that schools don't necessarily want that. But in the meantime, we have,
even though multi-year deals would actually help,
they would help
Everybody.
It would help. It would help everybody out here. But given the system that we have now, we have this portal madness that happens once the NCAA tournament starts and all the way throughout. So far in the triangle, have there been any surprises of people entering the portal or deciding to go test the NBA waters?
I have not been surprised by anything yet.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised we haven't heard a little bit more, as we have briefly discussed.
See, it was a trick question, but we'll get to that in a second.
Do you like that? I'm teasing myself.
I like that.
But no, I'm not surprised by any of them. I think the one that I have heard there be some surprise pushback to is Jeremy Roach. Just because when you look at Duke next year, everything they do has to be filtered through the lens of Cooper Flagg and Kaman Malwalk.
Mm-hmm.
And in theory, Jeremy Roach provides experience, which those two do not have. Jeremy Roach shot 42% from three this year. Those two are not going to do that. On paper, that sounds like it fits. And so I think some people were expecting he would either run it back. I don't know. But this was sort of the writing was on the wall for a couple of months here that this was going to be the outcome.
So NC State can go get Jeremy Roach is what I'm hearing you say?
Well, if they're going to have to beat North Carolina for him. No, I'm kidding. I will say this. There's a guy at Duke who hasn't hopped in the portal yet, who, if he did hop in the portal, and I still think he might, I think there's a non-0% chance. It's still low, but non-zero that he would be the first inter-triangle portal transfer.
Whoa, you don't think Dontrez Styles ends up at State?
But that's not there was a stop in between.
There was a detour. I don't know if we count that.
This
no, it's got to count.
This is an important question. See, because this is an important question that I wanted answered. I'm glad we got
we had the matrix broken in football.
Yes.
We just
Shaquille Harris and Jordan Waters.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. We just saw that.
I think Dontrez Styles counts.
But he went to Georgetown in between.
So what?
And do we know if he's going to State yet or not?
We don't know that for sure yet.
But it seems like that might be the case.
The writing's on the
All
wall.
signs are pointing to yes.
Okay, if we had
Kinston, the third time will be the charm for Kinston.
And he'd be great at NC State. I mean, he'd be awesome for them next year.
Of course.
So, I think it counts. I do think some of the shine is off because of the year away, but I still think it counts.
I just need somebody in the triangle to put together a ACC All-Stars. Or maybe not all-stars because they're leaving the program, but I just want an island of misfit basketball
Jack Clark's
toys,
back in the portal,
right? I want that back at a triangle school, and then they go out and win. I mean, that'd be a hell of a story, right? But yeah, Dontrez Styles, Jeremy Roach at NC State, that'd be hilarious. Give it to me, please.
Both of those guys are good players. That's the thing. Jeremy's going to be one of the most sought after guys in the portal.
Yes.
I think you can. I'd be interested to hear you guys' take on this. But I posted when he first hopped in the portal that he had he's one of the defining figures in Duke basketball history because he stayed. He's the only guy basically who bridged the two eras, and I got laughed out of the proverbial Twitter room. Do you guys agree with me, or are you going to politely not laugh at it?
Let me put it this way. I know where you're going with this, and yes, there is something to having stuck around, but you could say the same thing about Armando Bacot as a guy who bridges the two eras post Roy Williams, etc. But Armando was the guy the entire time. Jeremy was never the guy. Had Jeremy Roach in any of those moments had a Quinn Cook-like experience, a title is won, and he stuck around after the fact or whatever it was.
A title won. Let us not diminish the ACC title that Duke won.
You're
last
right.
year.
You're right. And he's a key piece to that. Then maybe we can have that conversation. I see where you're going with it, but because he was never the key component to what Duke was trying to do, I don't see how people are going to latch onto that.
That's fair, and I hear you there. But I will quietly file that takeaway as I filed away my Jeremy Roach Quinn Cook story at halftime of the NC State game in the Elite Eight.
Look, you and I have talked about it. You and I have talked about how Jeremy Roach had a lot of Quinn Cook in him.
I had a conversation with Shire last summer. Yeah. And Jeremy, they talked explicitly. Quinn's name was invoked.
Yes.
And they were 20 minutes from that being a really easy Final Four story for me.
And it was ruined.
It was ruined.
But you know what? NC State helped us out, so I'm not going to complain about an NC State Final Four run.
No, not at all. It was so much fun.
It was a hell of a lot of fun. All right. Speaking of Carolina.
My Stanford transfer is not coming home. The big.
Yeah, what's going on here?
I'm not happy about this.
I'm looking at the time. It's February 18th. I thought there would be a little bit more action, boss. I'm all about that. It's that live action in Chapel Hill. Brendan, Where is it? Come on. Who's
Jordan-
coming? Who's leaving?
Jordan Adu, I guess.
Or Jane? Yeah.
So here's my read on Carolina. I think Duke, there's more movement, but obviously Carolina's the one we're waiting on the big news.
Yes.
Like, I think we all know what's going to happen here. RJ Davis is going to declare. He's going to go through the combine. He's going to maintain his eligibility. And when the feedback comes back that he is not going to be drafted, he's going to return to North Carolina for a very handsome NIL sum, as I believe Mr. Giglio put it, $1 million. That's what's going to happen. Harrison Ingram is an interesting one. There is, I want to be very careful about how I phrase this. There is NBA intrigue about Harrison Ingram. There is not necessarily NBA interest. NBA teams and scouts are intrigued by the idea of Harrison Ingram. They are not ready to invest in him yet. There's a couple of things they want to see. Number one, Harrison Ingram was really, really bad as a first option last 2 seasons at Stanford. He comes to North Carolina. He is the tertiary option maybe, and was much better. What can he do sort of in an intermediary role there? Defensively, there's still questions about him. He has limited athleticism. He probably can't guard threes at the next level. Can he be a small ball 5? Can he guard 5s at the next level? Can he guard 4s at the next level? Scouts want to see that. And then also, this is a guy who, both he and RJ, neither of them are in a position where they have to leave to go provide for their families, especially Harrison Ingram, who comes from, his family franchises, McDonald's, doing just fine, very affluent, high priority on academics. People want to see him to continue to play with this like reckless abandon. Like, I don't think Harrison Ingram deserves this. When you have a guy who comes from money, there's this idea that he plays like he comes from money. And I don't think Harrison Ingram plays that way, but that is a sentiment that some NBA teams still have, and they want to see full out recklessness from him. So I think for all of those reasons, combined with the fact that, yes, this is a guy who went to Stanford and North Carolina, his sister's at Duke, and his parents actually give a crap about academics.
Yeah.
I think ultimately we're going to see Harrison Ingram either go through the same process at RJ Davis or just come straight back and step into a larger role.
What I hear you saying is for the 7 millionth year in a row, Carolina's going to have 2 guys back that stayed longer than anyone else ever in the history of any other program in the history of college basketball.
Must be nice.
Is that a streak that will continue, I hear?
Yes, I believe that streak will continue.
Weird.
It's wild how that happened. Wild how that definitely won't happen next year either. Next offseason. Definitely not.
No, yeah. No.
Well, what's funny, but here's where we're at right now. And Brendan, you're young. You might be too young for this, man. You might be too young.
I'm probably teetering.
But like
Tyler Hansbrough's coming back for a 20th year? Of course he is.
But you got
another one.
But you got to remember when Hansbrough did that, we were living in a time where
it was held against him.
It was held against you.
Absolutely.
The fact, I mean, what was it?
You weren't allowed to be old.
What was it? James Michael McAdoo came back
from people were like, get out.
People were mad.
People were mad about like, what are you are hurting yourself.
Harrison, Michael, Jeffrey, Jordan, Barnes, or whatever the fuck his made up name is. Like,
UNC
he
fans
came back for a year or two.
I see UNC fans having this bizarre logic with like
Michael
Kobe
Jordan.
White.
The
same thing with Kobe White now, like this bizarro logic of like, we wanted him to stay, but wait, he's our best. Is Kobe White the best active UNC player in the NBA right now?
Yes.
That's a different conversation.
That's a different conversation, but your quick answer to that is yes. Yes, he is. But it used to be held against you. It was held against the program.
Yes.
That it was
they're holding you back.
If they were developing you'd be off to the NBA by now.
And you know who was behind that? Your boy Calipari.
Yeah.
All my guys are in the NBA. I don't know what they're doing.
How'd that work out for them? Yeah. Now we live in a world where it's a strength. You got that money to sign up a good, healthy program. It's going to put you in position to potentially win.
You have choices.
You got choices now.
You know what I mean?
Which is the point. That's always been the point.
It's not a bad thing.
No, it's a great thing. It's a great thing. And the other thing is this, like, if you are good enough to go, get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
But if you don't want, like, the option for college now is so much more of a choice because you don't have to go to college at all if you don't want to. So anybody who commits to college is at least committing to the idea of multiple seasons now. And NIL is a huge factor in that, which is, fascinating to see how it plays out with North Carolina and with Duke. And after their, windfall season, NC State too.
Brendan Marks, The Athletic. All right, when can we, before we say goodbye, because we know we got to get out of here. We're running a little bit late.
I got a few minutes, but yes.
He's got somebody. I have to respect his time, things like that.
I think Tyler's.
Is Tyler here? Okay. You go get Tyler. And
you have a little special moment with Brandon. It's fine.
See you, Joe.
This is the beauty of the live podcast as we negotiate these things. Let me turn off his microphone here real quick. All right. When can we expect decisions for RJ?
I would anticipate it's going to come. Yeah, I mean, so today's actually an important deadline. Tonight, I think at 11:59 p.m. is the last day that players can submit to the UAC, the Undergraduate Advisory Committee, to get feedback at all.
Gotcha.
So if that feedback comes back and says, "Ha, you have no chance," you can still go in.
Yeah.
And then you obviously have until May. You can go through the combine. Like RJ Davis and Harrison Ingram would both get combine invites if they wanted to go. But I'm expecting that, especially with this deadline hitting, this is not going to be a thing I think that stretches for another 10 days. Like I'm anticipating this is going to come. This is not going to be a May or an April 29th sort of decision. These conversations are already happening. Guys are already trained. And that's the other thing that should be noted too. If you're not already training for the NBA draft, you're kind of already almost putting yourself behind.
You're already behind. Right.
Like Armando Bacot's been out training for several weeks now. RJ went out and had to do the Wooden Award stuff. He was out in California. I believe he's already out there. So if you're not already starting to do it, you've already almost lost your shot.
And then before we say goodbye, how do you do entirely way too early top 25s in this era? I'm not about that content churn, my dude. I don't have to worry about that kind of stuff, but the content clicks require you to do an entirely way too early top 25.
I'm not going to say that our way too early top 25 did double the numbers of our cumulative Final Four coverage, but I'm not going to say that it didn't either. It's people want to know. Listen, what are the two?
I clown it because I know people love it. It's hilarious to me. It's hilarious to me.
I mean, but it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing as the NBA. College basketball and the NBA now have the same calendar. What do people care about most? They care about the playoffs and they care about free agency / the draft. What do you care about most in college? You care about free agency / the draft, and then you care about the draft. And
I love it.
So
I love it. I absolutely love it. All right, Brendan, we appreciate the time, man. As always, we will talk to you later. We'll do it entirely way too early, top 25 for 2025 in a couple of weeks. We'll try to predict portal movement for the next
year. Let's do it. I'm going to predict. I'm going to take the over on North Carolina having guys stay longer than people think they should. I'm also taking Giglio's over on hockey because Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy, did not pay out for me.
Yeah, I don't think playoff Jimmy paid out for just about anybody at this point. All right, dude. We'll talk to you later.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, Joe. Should we? Okay, you know what? It's all live. Let's just go ahead and do this. Well, hold on. So I got to turn you back on.
There you go.
How many shorties have you had right now?
2. Now you need to hit Tyler's button.
Tyler's button. All right, Tyler's button. This is all new because I just added a new microphone. Tyler Hellickson. He is from Happy and Hale. Welcome, man.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining the as a corporate champion.
You are a corporate champion.
That's how we describe you now.
It's a pleasure. I heard the jingle yesterday, and I don't care what they tell you, Joe. That hat looks great on you. You're not too old for it.
I'm not too old for
the rope hat. The rope hat is a young people's game, but Joe likes to live.
I got Joe the dad hat.
See, now that's my speed.
So
that is my speed.
What a team player.
Thank you, sir. But yeah, we do have the jingle. Rain came through.
Let's take a break.
Playing it right.
Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hale.
That is a comfortable dad hat, by the way. Question.
It's brilliant.
How did the Burnsy Bowl come together?
We opened Happy and Hill 10 years ago, about 50 yards from this very spot.
Yeah.
And since we opened, we've been fighting the salad restaurant, healthy restaurant, meaning not delicious restaurant energy.
Mm.
And so in the last a couple years, we have created products that try to increase our male audience.
Mm-hmm.
And in the last couple of years, we've been really getting into the Canes. We see a lot of the team coming into the North Hills store, becoming friends with them, and have really enjoyed watching them succeed. And so me and my operations director, who's Caniac, probably #1 in Raleigh, got together and said, who could we partner with to attract more of a male audience? And, search no further than Mr. Brent Burns.
Yeah, I was gonna say we've talked about beards today. We know he loves to smoke meat. He invites the Canes family over. A lot of the people who might not necessarily have a family around here to feel like they've got some sort of family here. I know Luke DeCock wrote about this in the News and Observer. Really interesting story. So you ask him, all right, let's cook something up here. So you got the steak, see, Joe went for the whole dill slaw.
The dill slaw is what got me.
It balances it quite nicely, and that was Brent's request.
The Brussels are the thing that always sell me. You put good Brussels sprouts on something, and this is something that's a new phenomenon for adult Joe.
Sprouts are back. Yeah,
sprouts are very much back.
Oh yeah,
sprouts were a thing that I never would have touched as a kid, but now I love Brussels sprouts.
Then you throw some bacon in there and some onions, peppers, and maple syrup,
and at the risk of belaboring the point, the steak's legit too.
It really is. We have a chimichurri steak bowl that we use a tenderloin. A lot of places, similar concepts, will use something a little of lower quality, but we wanted to make sure the steak was good. Our executive chef came from a steakhouse, so 6-7 years ago. So we wanted to make sure that the steak was good. So we use it in the chimichurri. And then when first started talking to Burnsy, we were having fun with it, talking about elk, talking about boar, talking about all of the wild game that he has on his ranch. Unfortunately, was a little unattainable for us. So we landed on the steak, but he really wanted this barbecue essence, and so that's what we landed with. And it took, typically these limited time offer deals that we do take a couple weeks R&D wise, but it was a 30-minute call with Burnsy. Part of that was his schedule so tight. 2 days later, we had the bowl in his living room, and we were off to the races.
All right, so you are outside section 123. We got a playoff game this Saturday with the Islanders. Section 123 is where your cart is. You have the Burnsy Bowl available there, right?
We do.
Okay, along with?
We have the Bueno Bowl, which is a Mexican themed bowl, chicken, brown rice, black beans, pico, that kind of vibe, cilantro. And then we had the protein bowl, which is one of our most popular in store, but we exchanged that for the Burnsy Bowl. And so far, it's been very well received.
Cool.
No smoothies at the arena, but smoothies at the stores.
We've tried to do smoothies at the arena. We're working on the logistics for that, hopefully next season. But certainly at the store, yeah.
It's interesting. It's the salad place. I've always just associated with, that's a clean eating place. I want to have something that's going to fill me up and not feel like I'm bogged down.
100%.
That's what I've always associated Happy and Hill for as long as you guys have been open. And I've been going to the North Hill store for a while now. So yeah, if I'm going to the arena and I don't want to just be slogged down with fried foods, XYZ, but I want to feel full, here we go.
You got it. You got it. And not overly full. You still want to feel like you can walk around after you eat it. And that's been that was the impetus for Happy and Hill in the first place. Working and living in downtown Raleigh. It's where can I go walking distance that I can get a quick, healthy, delicious lunch. And that's kind of how the whole thing started. So now that we're at the arena, it's great because we're touching people that have not been to our stores, who come into our stores now and say, wow, I had you at the arena. I had no idea. So that's been great.
So North Hills we've covered. It's on the other side of the road by the teeter, by the park. Six Forks
Station, Six Forks in Strickland. Yep. North Raleigh.
We got a Durham.
Then we have two in Durham, one at University Hill next to the O2 Fitness. And our second store that we opened was on 9th Street, right there by Duke. See a lot of Duke kids. It's been great.
How do you keep track of all this stuff, man? I got one tax thing I got to keep track of, and I feel like I'm like reinventing the wheel over here, sir. How do you?
100%. Great people, great teams, great accountants.
Yeah, it's all about the accountants.
Yeah. So, we've been blessed almost the entire way to have an incredible team around us, people, investors, operations people that believed in what we were doing and offered their assistance.
This really started with a bike too.
A tricycle that I picked up on my old company car in Asheville, drove it back, dolled it up.
And it's such an Asheville story.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
I still talk to the people who I got the off Craigslist. I forget, Bryson City or something like that.
It wasn't a serial killer. It was a tricycle.
Exactly. And then I was on a golf cart delivering salads and juice. And my partner was right here on Fayetteville Street in Hargett on the trike every day, made juice 5 a.m., pedaled it up, and just free hugs and sold juice.
All right. I don't want to get into the contract details with Brent Burns and the Burnsy Bowl, but
please,
let's say the Carolina Hurricanes do win the Stanley Cup.
Let's hope. Yeah.
Let's just hope this happens. Have you negotiated that the Burnsy Bowl will be served out of?
No, there's like been placebo and
I'm just saying. There's been enough alcohol in that thing to clean it out.
So last time we were with Burnsy, we asked him what he would do with his day with the cup.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard this.
No, I've not heard it yet.
Now, this was shared in private, so I'm not going to say it on the podcast,
Okay.
but let's just say he's in for a heck of a day. Whether it involves the Burnsy Bowl or not to be determined, but his plan is pretty good.
Yeah, we've talked to the keeper of the cup. I think there's two main guys.
There's the one guy who's been scarred for life because he was at Scores with Messier and the
Sure.
Rangers in '94.
Why
So
not?
he's, and then there's the other guy who was like, yeah, I went to like Campbell River and I swam with Rod Brindamore and his dad, like in the water.
It really is like
You
the
know?
most wholesome thing.
Yeah,
Yeah. And look,
I went to the sod farm with the stalls.
Mike Sunheim and Kai Hanlon, who were
Hammer.
like Sunheim's still with the Canes. He has a much fancier position these days.
He's in charge of the world
He,
now.
he
man.
really is in charge. Sunheim's in charge of so much now over at the Carolina Hurricanes. But at the time, he was media relations guy back in the day, him and the Hammer. So they had their day with the cup, and we were invited over to hang out with their day with the cup, and it was really wholesome. The
was
cup
fun.
was there on display. They took it to Linda's. People were drinking, Yingling out of it.
I think
if
I
remember
was there
correctly.
for Forsland's Day.
You were there for Forsland's Day?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, the only reason why I asked is you have this association now. You've got this relationship. I'm just wondering if maybe the bowls in the the Burnsy bowls in the cup.
I will do everything I can to make that happen.
I mean,
that said, the Burnsy plan that he told me, I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle of that wholesome and
I was gonna say, so you want this done during the wholesome time? Maybe.
to be determined. Burnsy Bowl is multifunctional, and for any situation.
At the risk of going too far behind the scenes, did you get caught up in the Rick Ross Drake beef? Was your Camp Seagull picture included in the?
I'm unaware of the
All right,
said beef, but
show you.
Hopefully not.
Oh, this came from Hayes Permar.
This is a Hayes thing. I assume I saw Hayes ran past me on a scooter yesterday.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Nice little chat.
Apparently, this is a guy from Camp Seagull.
It looks like a guy from Camp Seagull.
Because if you scroll up, you'll see a picture, I think, of you playing basketball with Hayes in Camp Seagull.
Wow.
Maybe. I almost feel like
Rick Ross. Wow. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not involved in that.
I do feel
Hayes.
like we have to get Hayes on the hook for a 6-part series on Camp Seagull.
Yeah,
no doubt.
One of these serial type things.
Does the Raleigh community, I mean, the current Raleigh community know how involved he was in that? Because I was there for one summer, and Hayes, he was the leader effectively.
Yeah. I've
camp.
heard those stories. I think as more and more people move to this area, and the old ITB, old Raleigh set, just kind of not dissipates, but kind of blends into the background of so many people that are moving here. I don't know if they do know or not. You're showing them all sorts of stuff.
no,
over
that's
there.
the Camp Seagull basketball picture.
Oh, okay.
Absolute throwback.
Tyler's hanging out with Riley Skinner, man.
I look great. That was 20 years ago.
Well, eat more happy and hale, and you'll stay just
You'll
fine.
be-
That's right.
That's what it is.
That's right.
Hey, Tyler, we appreciate you hanging out, man. We appreciate you jumping on board with what we're doing here with the
I
podcast.
got the calendar now too. So
He's got a calendar.
Brilliant.
Get
Thanks
the
for having
Burnsy
me.
Bowl, Section 123 this Saturday for the upcoming playoff game, and we'll see how far this thing goes, man.
Let's do it. Appreciate you having me, guys.
All right, take it easy.
Glad
That's
to be a part of it.
Tyler from Happy and Hale again. We think. Then we'll play the jingle one more time.
Let's take a break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hill.
All right, we are still doing the OG live here. Joe, do you want to?
is there more?
There is more. We have our lightning round to get to.
Jeez.
So how about tell you what? I'll do some ads here,
Okay.
and you can help Tyler exit Eford Studios here, and I'll get
Okay.
through some.
Perfect.
We'll pay some bills with our friends. So, all right, hold on a second. Let me, as we're doing this OG live here, change my background while we're on the YouTube, while we're doing these things. And we'll thank Whitaker and Hamer. Check them out, wh.lawyer. Again, that's wh.lawyer. Attorneys and counselors at law. They're going to be helping us out with our OG birthday bash, which is taking place May 3rd at Shady's Bar in downtown Garner. It's going to be a low-key hang. We've got raffles. We got bourbon we're going to give away. We've got trivia with our guy, OG Scoreboard, Jason. His company, Sporkle, is going to be there doing it with us. And who knows? Maybe we'll have a hockey game to watch while we're there. Maybe we do trivia while the intermissions are going on. But in the meantime, legal issues, or just something simple like taking a house to closing, refinancing, whatever it might be. Whitaker and Hamer can help you out with that. Speaking of your home, State Farm, Matt Davis, InsureGarner.com, TheOGInsurance.com. Give him a call directly at 919-779-8277. Matt Davis can help you out. He's going to save you money on your home and auto. That is key. We're all about saving money, especially as Giglio continues to reference. The taxes are a little eye-opening, so you got to find ways to make it good, right? Joe's not having it. Do not spill that beer.
Not on the new calendar.
Yes. You went through all that trouble. Twisters? Yeah, they're twisters, dude.
Oh, why do I
don't know, man.
Struggle's real.
I do not. If Chip were here and we're going to have to get this thing
roll back. You don't know me like that.
We're going to need him to cut us an official promo for this. Speaking of promos, if you go to rowback.com, ROHBACK, rowback.com, use that promo code OG20, you're going to save 20% off your order. It is peak polo season. They got incredible patterns at Rowback, but don't sleep on their basically what I would call casual, yet not casual, very versatile, comfortable, wear it just about anywhere attire. The hoodies are incredibly comfortable. Just put an order in for shorts. I'm going to get around to some joggers because I need maximum comfort when I'm here in the studio. Maximum comfort when I'm in the studio.
Can I be mad at you for a second?
Why are you mad at me?
You got your order.
I did.
I did not.
I mean,
I'm over here.
Take it up with the people.
I'm chomping.
Take it up with the people, man.
I'm ready.
So use that promo code OG20 to save 20% off your order. You ready for a little lightning round, Joe?
You want to go to the lightning round?
What?
Am I back? Did your dad wear the jacket once? Like, am I eligible to buy your dad a gift?
Yeah, why?
Are we back?
Yeah, why?
Tell me he wouldn't like this from Rowback.
What am I looking at? As we're watching on YouTube here. Oh, man.
Right.
Florida man.
Right?
Peak Florida man. Here's the thing.
I kind of like that, but I don't know if your dad would.
No, he wouldn't. I'm going to tell you right now, my dad does not wear polos. I don't think I've ever seen my dad wear a polo.
So fruit fall.
Oh, you know what? Yeah. You know what? Now that I think about it, that makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Now you got it.
Yeah.
I might get that for myself, even though I have no Florida roots.
Sure.
I like it.
I mean, wait a minute. Are you telling me that in all your time spent in New Jersey, you don't have anybody?
No. I mean, my cousin's Nick is there. My cousin Frank is there. But it's not the same. Like, I would rep Jersey. Right? I can't rep Florida. You can rep Florida. I can't rep
I don't want to rep Florida. That's the thing.
Okay.
People ask me all the time,
your pop's good.
No, you don't want to move back to Florida. No, I don't. It's gross.
No.
It's no. Like,
I mean, for the state income tax, I might consider.
Yeah, I mean, look, no state income tax. I get that part, but yeah, I've never had any desire to move back to Florida, none whatsoever. I mean, if you asked me that question when I was 16 years old, well, then yes, I want to go back.
A1A,
Beachfront Avenue. Let's go. Yeah, but now every time I go back down to Florida, it's like, okay, I've had my time here.
Seen enough.
I'm ready to go back. I think mainly because I'm soft now. I'm not built for that humidity anymore, man.
No,
it's just not the same. I mean, it gets gross here in North Carolina. Don't get me wrong. It can get swampy gross here, but not as consistently as the swampy grossness of Florida in July, August, and September. It's completely different, and I'm just not built for it anymore. All right, so you clowned my production value for the lightning round.
Yeah.
So
not a clown. I mean, like, it just wasn't your finest hour. That's all.
But the listeners thought I had fun with it. So we're going to up the production value on the lightning round. Are you ready? You ready for the lightning round?
For the lightning round.
What do you think? Is that good?
Much better. Much better. I'm just laughing because the entirety of our professional relationship, all I've wanted was to be able to hit buttons. And now all of a sudden, it's okay for you.
Yes.
It's okay for you.
Yes.
But me,
you can't be trusted.
No, that's fair. That's actually fair.
No, you cannot be trusted.
It's actually
you
fair.
cannot be trusted.
For the lightning round.
All right, let's talk about the thing that's not really a thing, but it's the internet, so therefore it becomes a thing. You following me?
Yes.
Okay. So Andrew Jones, who does wonderful work at Tar Heel Illustrated, covering
Yes.
the Tar Heels. Andrew's an OG. He's been
He
doing this
is.
for a really, really
Grinding,
long
man.
time. Grinding forever, man.
Yes.
Grinding forever. And he posted this. Yesterday morning during Mac Brown's pre-spring game or spring practice availability. UNC made a deal with the ACC network to not televise the spring game and instead be there for a practice. UNC has made a lot of changes defensively, and they have a true quarterback battle going on, and they don't want to have it on television. This, of course, was retweeted a whole bunch of times. Of course, you know that, because it's time for Mac to enjoy his beach house and retire. That's as nice as that's the nicest way I can put it. What beer can in turn 4? What does this even mean? Just not crazy to televise this event. I hope the season is even half as salvageable. Go Heels. It continues on.
What's so crazy about that, though? Like, if you don't want people there, you don't want people there.
So here's the thing about this.
Or is it open to the public?
It is open to the public.
Okay.
It is open to the public. And they're also not doing a game. They're essentially doing some practice drills.
Yeah.
At least they're doing some level of football. I mean, my understanding, I didn't watch it, but Ole Miss just did like hot dog eating contest and dunk contest. I mean, they didn't really do anything football. It was like a midnight madness for football.
Yeah.
In the spring. And NC State, I'm pretty sure, did a more traditional spring game this past weekend.
I do not like the way that NC State does their spring festivities.
How does NC State do their spring festivities?
They do their starters all on one team.
Okay.
So you never get 1 versus 1.
Now, if you're wondering,
and it's really like a half speed 7-on-7 anyway.
If you're wondering, man, Ovies doesn't really sound all that interested in spring games, you would be correct. Sure. I'm not. Spring games.
What is to be discerned other than if you could get somebody in live pads and live action and see them actually play and how they move, there is some value there. Yes, you can identify. You said the same thing when you saw Mario Williams at the sidelines at the practices before the Gator Bowl. You're like, who's
this guy
in the world is that?
He's 18,
right?
No, he's not.
You could say the same thing about the run that Butch Davis had over at Carolina.
Sure.
You see Greg Little over there. You're like, who? That guy can play, right? So there is some value in seeing a person who is overly and overtly athletic the way that some people can be. But for the most part, you're talking about basic stuff. This is not like,
Now, there's also the televising on the ACC network. I asked around, how exactly does this work? Because remember, the ACC network is essentially a partner for these teams.
Yeah, there's no difference between the ACC and the ACC network. Correct.
None. So essentially, what ends up happening is that the powers that be in Bristol go to all these schools and they ask, hey, what would you like to do?
Yeah.
Also understanding that we also have a product to put on.
Sure.
Some schools are worthy of putting on ACC Network. Some are just web only. They put it on ACCNX. You'll see that little blur, but essentially it's online only. And again, this is my understanding, is that schools get a 2-hour block that they can not do what they want to do,
but just turn it into their commercial.
But turn it into a commercial for their school.
Sure.
While also balancing the fact that they don't want to give too much away. Because you got to remember, every football coach in America is paranoid as hell.
Inexplicably, yes.
So they're all paranoid as hell. All paranoid as hell. And I think what's going on here is that Carolina, going into this season, is in a different position on the hype cycle than they were the last 2 years when they had, or even the last 3 to 4 years.
It's 5 years.
I guess it's 5 years. They finally hit a point where it's a true reset at Carolina. We really don't know what this team is going to be. They're trying to install a new defense.
Sure.
They've got a quarterback battle that might be more of a battle than they anticipated, but it is what it is. Max Johnson's transferring in, but who knows? Maybe they don't want you to see that this quarterback situation is not panning out the way they might want it to be.
Again, this is not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. But here's where I will say it is a bad thing, and it's not bad thing. Let me rephrase. It's out of character
for Mac.
It's out of character for Mac. So if you wanted to position this in that ever since Mac Brown's been back, it's been all about making sure that eyeballs are on North Carolina's football program. Eyeballs are on what he is trying to change in terms of the culture at Carolina. And then you actively say in a press conference, yeah, we told the ACC network, we don't want to televise this thing. Instead, we'll do an all access practice thing that I think aired this past weekend, because Wes Durham was there, our friend Roddy Jones was there, David Hale was there, all that kind of stuff, right? Then yeah, I get it. It's out of character for Mac, but I think it kind of tells you what they think about this season. This season ain't like last season. This season ain't like the season before, and ain't like the season before that. This is a team that's going through some serious changes, whether it's defensively or offensively. If you want to raise a red flag for that, cool. Totally understand where you're coming from on that. But if you're trying to extrapolate anything more out of this, I'm not seeing it. Other than, yeah, this is a football program that just didn't want you to see some stuff this year. Just like there's a lot of other football programs that don't want you to see some stuff, and they're very paranoid about these things. So to me, it's a little bit of a nothing burger in the grand scheme of things.
Let's get to lightning round. Item number 2.
The NBA has banned
I love
Jonte Porter.
Lightning round is not very lightning.
Well, you want me to hit it again? You want me to hit that again?
Lightning round.
There it is.
I need to isolate that part.
That's so 80s.
It really is
So good.
It really is. So the NBA has banned Jonte Porter for violating the gambling policy, and Porter. The details.
This is the definition of insider trading, man. You
can't
can't tell known gamblers, here's what I'm doing. I'm sick. I'm this. I'm that. Take this. Then you don't even attempt a shot, which was part of the prop, right? How many 3-pointers he'll make. He was basically controlling the outcome of a wager. You can't do that. And before people get all worked up over I knew it. This is what was going to happen. This is the Dixie Classic all over again.
It's not.
No,
it's not.
It was flagged because it was an irregular amount of money being bet on a player who's a bench player.
Yes.
That's how the system works.
Yes.
This is an example of how the system works. This is a good thing. This is not a bad thing.
Yeah, and that's where I go back to when we talked about this, I think earlier in the week or late last week. I think a lot of the conversation around sports wagering and the reaction to Jonte Porter of, this is what you get. This is what you get. Actually, no. I'm in agreement with you. This is the feature, not a bug of legalized sports wagering. Who's to say this even gets caught without legalized sports wagering? He could have been dealing with, I don't know who's giving you prop bet action on the low.
Yeah, it's tougher.
It's tougher that way. And to me, the fact that he's doing any of this shows me that Jonte Porter has more of a problem than it is a proliferation of gambling apps. But it is what it is.
Or he's in a situation where he couldn't get himself out of.
Yes. And if you're the NBA, you have to get rid of that.
Yeah.
You absolutely have to get rid of that. And there has to be stringent rules. And the fact that he was essentially betting on himself, this is collectively bargained stuff. This is absolutely collectively bargained.
He was betting against himself.
So all this is to say that there are levels to the conversation around legalized sports wagering. And I think there's a lot of people that are uncomfortable, and understandably, I'm not saying I don't understand it, because even I'm included on this. They're uncomfortable with the influx of money from sports wagering companies and what it's done to how we talk about sports, and whether it's you just don't like the fact that everything has been boiled down to the granular nature of, can I win money on this or not? Or understandably, you are the type of person that worries about longer implications or larger implications for this vice. I get all that stuff. I understand where you're coming from, but ultimately this is doing what you're supposed to do. What do you see?
I love to get distracted by the comments.
Yeah, you do. From Kyle. Live Pod Thursday idea. You do the podcast as normal, but for the video on YouTube, you have a Muppet version of yourself. Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to it. All right, ready for the next one?
Yeah, we're moving so quickly.
Lightning round. Number 3.
Greg Doyle.
Oh,
Greg Doyle kind of stepped into it during the Caitlin Clark introductory press conference for the Indiana Fever. If you're not familiar with Greg Doyle, he's a longtime columnist. He's been at the Indianapolis Star now for a considerable amount of time.
It's got to be 20 years now.
Easily. He had various stops. Was he not a columnist or a writer for the Charlotte Observer at one point?
We came to consciousness in Charlotte, then was at CBS for a little while, and then Indy for So he's been out of the state of North Carolina for 20 years. I
Yeah,
should say.
it's been a long time, but I've known Greg for a very long time. I know you.
I like Greg.
But Greg's an awkward dude.
He runs his own race.
He does. He I don't think I'm speaking out of turn when I say that Greg Doyle is just kind of an awkward guy. And sometimes it can be charming when you're a little bit awkward, and sometimes it falls flat. And that's exactly what happened with Caitlin Clark during her introductory press conference.
Hi, Caitlin. Greg Doyle, Indy Star. Real quick, let me do this.
You like that?
I like that you're here. I like
Yeah,
that you're here.
I do that at my family after every game, so
Okay, well,
Very
let's
cool.
start doing it to me and we'll be able to get along just fine. So, question is,
Yeah, a little bit awkward there at the end.
So he was doing the heart.
He was doing the little heart hands thing, and that's what Caitlin Clark, as she pointed out, she does that to her family after games. And Greg says there at the end, "If start doing that to me, and we'll get along just fine." It's creepy. I mean, there's really no other way around it. It's just kind of creepy. It's also kind of awkward, which is also Greg's vibe. But just because I understand it's Greg's vibe, just because you understand it's Greg's vibe, that does not mean that it's acceptable in that format. And I think I cannot speak for women who were icked out by that.
Sure.
I actually had a conversation with Lauren Brownlow earlier today about this very thing. It came up casually in conversation, and she's just like, yeah, she's like, it's more of the frustration of, God, you know how many times we just have to, like, women have to just sit there and just kind of like nod along, like, okay, you're being kind of creepy right now. And I just have to nod and smile and kind of laugh it off and keep it moving. It's not cool. So there are a lot of women who heard that from Greg Doyle, and for lack of a better term, were triggered by the, oh, geez, how many kind of interactions have I had with this? And again, from my perspective, I'm like, yeah, Greg's just being awkward. And he wrote about this saying, yeah, that's what I do. All these instances where I've done this kind of stuff. But the one mistake I made is that all these times that I've done it with male counterparts, not with somebody young. But there's a deeper issue here.
Yeah, there's the age there too.
There's an age factor there too. But there's also something else here that I don't think Greg quite understands. I understand it. I think a lot of people in our business understand it, but I think there are some in our business that do not. Dude, it does not matter what you think about Caitlin Clark. It does not matter if it's the idea, it's an antiquated idea that a columnist really is setting the tone for the conversation in a town.
Yeah.
There was a time where that was true.
Like, these fans are really going to like you if I write good things about you. So be nice to me.
That doesn't work anymore.
No.
That's not the case anymore.
No.
Columnists are there to have their opinions. Columnists can help shape stories and all that kind of stuff. But if you think to this day that you're the person who, and if
you think you're the gatekeeper or the tastemaker, you're not.
This is also true for people in our business on the audio side of things too. There was a time 20 years ago where the sports talk radio host in town doing afternoon drive was like, all right, we are the voice. And if I blah, 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 blah. And this might still be true in some places like Philly or New York or whatever, but even that's waned after a little bit.
Yeah.
Even that's waned. So really, doing it today, you're part of a community.
Yeah.
And you have access. And with that access comes some privileges, but ultimately you're part of a community of people. And people want to get in on the conversation. You want to be a conversation starter. Cool. That's what we try to do. We try to have conversations. We try to get a little bit deeper on particular topics. But this idea that you're a gatekeeper for whether or not Caitlin Clark's going to get run out of town if she doesn't perform, buddy, it don't work that way anymore, man.
Yeah.
It just does not work that way anymore.
Yeah. I would hope Greg now understands why he needs a do-over on that one.
We're done with the lightning round. We're done with the podcast.
It's more like a sundial round.
What do you mean a sundial round?
You're like, set it, forget it, come back. Lightning is like,
Would you prefer the megaphone?
that's lightning.
No.
Yeah, I want like the one word.
No.
I just
That's-
like clapping like that.
That's not what we do. What you want is what's trending. We're not doing
Oh,
that.
God, I hated it.
No, you did hate what's trending.
You really did hate that segment. And I tried to explain to you so many times.
you need it.
You need it for radio. You got to keep it moving, baby. I mean, it was one of the
number one.
I mean, it was one of the higher rated segments of the show, but it is what it is. All right, that's gonna wrap it up for today's show. from Ken. Instead of Muppets, can we get cartoon faces from the 80s and 90s? Me as John Black.
What is the TV Handy Fun House? TV Fun House.
The guy who does Triumph,
Yeah.
the insult comic dog. Yeah, maybe we could do that. Anyway, that's gonna wrap it up
Hey
for today's
man,
show.
we worked hard to get our jingle. Our guy Tyler was happy with the jingle too. So.
I'm glad he was happy with the jingle.
I wrote the jingle.
Rand did the thing, but you didn't sing the jingle.
No, I did.
That was Rand.
No, we ready?
Okay. Go ahead.
This is the best part because
It's a shame I can't put the voice changer on you.
I know.
That's a bummer.
No, you want the original one?
By all means.
I think I swear. Maybe I don't. I mean, how do you swear in a jingle? I don't know. But
Okay.
Let's take a break. Let's take Joseph. Let's take a break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy Inhale.
Oh, Rand's missing the yeah.
that was my moment of inspiration.
Yeah,
I
it's
said
like-
it to Rand, and then Rand, of course, made it better.
Of course. All right, that's going to wrap it up. Enjoy your weekend. We will see you on Monday. Maybe by then we'll know when the Canes are playing.
We got
their
game
second
2.
game.
What do we got?
Maybe we'll know when game.
Anything?
Maybe we'll know when game 2 is after Saturday's game 1. I don't know. One can hope. We'll see y'all then.